Escape from Ever After is an RPG inspired by the classic Paper Mario series, featuring familiar mechanics and a similar storybook charm. It's clearly made for fans of classic Paper Mario, borrowing many of the series' defining elements such as platforming, timed action combat, spirit points for special attacks, and a comparable progression system. If you're a longtime Paper Mario fan, this game is everything you'd expect. There's not much to say about the gameplay or even the story because you've already made up your mind. If you're a fan of classic Paper Mario, you're probably going to try this game regardless. Escape from Ever After delivers exactly what the audience expects. But that's also where the problem begins. This game's entire identity is tied to Paper Mario, which ultimately becomes both its greatest strength and its biggest weakness. Do not misunderstand, it's fairly common for RPGs to share overlapping mechanics and story-driven themes. The difference is that successful games distinguish themselves from their inspirations by building an independent identity. Because Escape from Ever After tied its entire identity to Paper Mario, I'm going to make my comparisons accordingly, simply because this game is a variant of. This is something the writers themselves were keenly aware, as illustrated by the main antagonist, who monologues about her writing career. That said, that doesn't mean the game is simply a cheap imitation without value. Many of its mechanics and challenges feel like a natural evolution of Paper Mario's design. Take the Duckster boss fight, for example. Playing off a familiar scenario, you must prevent Duckster from achieving invincibility by attacking his heart before it fully restores its own health, or else. Each turn, the heart regenerates 3 HP, forcing the player to split their attention between damaging Duckster and interrupting the regeneration cycle. Seems doable. However, the fight becomes more complicated when Duckster uses abilities that causes fear status, which prevents characters from attacking for 2 turns, or when he periodically summons an Eldritch with a shield that blocks Flint from striking the heart with his buckler. Success ultimately depends on careful planning and anticipating threats before they become life-threatening. Duckster is just one of many fun challenges awaiting an eager player. Nearly every boss introduces a unique twist that forces the player to think ahead. Unfortunately, the strategies available to the player are often limited. Most badges, or trinkets as the game calls them, are often duplicates that provide little build variety. Their high cost further restricts experimentation, meaning any truly powerful build usually requires grinding and over-leveling. Some abilities only deal flat damage, which renders attack boosting trinkets and support buffs largely useless. My final criticism involves one of the mechanics borrowed directly from Paper Mario. In order to record enemies in the bestiary, the player must use the research ability during battle. Much like the title ability from Paper Mario, this forces the player to spend turns gathering information rather than progressing the fight. While the game does include a trinket that reveals enemy stats automatically, it does not actually record them in the bestiary. As a result, certain boss entries can easily become missable. Regardless of how competently assembled Escape from Ever After is, it remains overshadowed by the game it emulates. Every mechanic, story beat, and character invites comparison, and unfortunately, unfortunately, the game never establishes an identity outside of Paper Mario. In many ways, the reason this game exists at all is because Paper Mario came first. Perhaps that was always the intention. The developers never aimed to create something new, but rather to recreate something fans have been missing. After all, the Thousand-Year Door has never truly received a spiritual successor in over 20 years, leaving a vacuum that longtime fans have been eager to fill. On its own merits, the developers have clearly demonstrated their talent. They understand the soul of what made Paper Mario special, and they've proven they have the ability to recreate that experience. However, their work ultimately remains overshadowed by the very game they chose to emulate. Until the day they create something entirely their own, I'll be watching their next project with interest. But for now, Escape from Ever After remains a well-crafted homage to Paper Mario, one forever trapped in its shadow. Want more reviews? Click here or subscribe. Come, join my party.